I've been thinking a lot lately about the difference between knowing and understanding and kind of the function of knowledge within the human mind. That knowledge, in a lot of ways, we've been conditioned to believe makes us safe. That the human mind, thinks in kind of symbols and narratives, but its desire is for safety. Its desire is for homeostasis. In this complex world where truth seems very elusive, we'll end up latching onto tidbits of knowledge that kind of help us feel safe. And we're living in what I like to call the great unknowing. It's a great irony, with the introduction of the internet and social media into the human mind. The more we become connected online, the less we're connected in the real world, right? The more information we know, the less we understand, right? That this awareness of how little we actually know feels very unsafe. That not knowing is the ultimate form of danger within the human mind. And so we see this all over the place in how people use social media. We are getting all of these decontextualized tidbits of information coming in the endless scroll that's rotating, at least for me, between political videos, ICE videos, cat videos, video game videos, all of these different types of videos that are making us feel different things, but they're not coherent. They're disjointed. They're schizophrenic. And it's driving our minds wild, actually. And so I think ultimately we have to kind of shift into this zone of not knowing and accept that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. At least in politics, what we see on our TV or on our TVs or on our screens, that's a reality show. Right? It's a bunch of people getting up and playing these parts and lying and distorting and doing all of these things that don't actually speak to the reality of what's happening behind the scenes. Now, I don't think don't interpret this as there's some grand scheme to fix everything going on behind the scenes. There is absolutely not that happening, right? And understanding that is incredibly scary. But we have to resist the urge, right, to kind of construct these fairy tales, construct these safety blankets in our minds that distort reality in service of feeling safe. Because, again, there's a Jiddu Krishnamurti book called Freedom from the Known, right? That what we pretend to know keeps us in a prison. When we can begin to admit that we know very little, that we don't know, that we can't predict the future despite our pattern recognition, despite our historical context, whatever, there's freedom in that, right? There is freedom in constructing a reality based on the unknown, because that is actually the true reality. That we don't fucking know nearly, we know very little of what we think we know.